Hello. A history of the Britons written in 828 or 829 and surviving in copies dating from around 1100, once attributed to a Welsh monk called Nennius, probably more safely described as anonymous, contains several references to King Arthur. A prologue tells us, I, Nennius, the lowly minister and servant of the servants of God, by the grace of God disciple to Saint Albotus, to all the followers of truth sends health. Be it known to your charity, that being dull in intellect and rude of speech, I have presumed to deliver these things in the Latin tongue. The Latinized name Albotus, under whom our writer says he studied, refers to Elfoth, a Welsh bishop, possibly of Bangor, who died in 809. There is a partial list of sources dating back to the 5th and 6th centuries. Our author tells us that, not trusting to my own learning, which is little or none at all, that he is working partly from the traditions of our ancestors, partly from writings and monuments of the ancient inhabitants of Britain, partly from the annals of the Romans and the chronicles of the ancient fathers Isidore, Hieronymus, Prosper, Eusebius, and from the histories of the Scots and Saxons, although our enemies. The history is written from a Welsh perspective at a time when King Merfyn of Gwynedd is trying to unite forces to secure Welsh independence, faced with an incursion by the Saxons of Mercia. Not all the sources have survived, which makes authentication problematic. I'm not dismissive of oral history. In an age of limited literacy, what our chronicler refers to as information sourced partly from the traditions of our ancestors, stories handed down through generations would have been highly valued, but it does raise questions. Our author names 12 battles in which King Arthur is said to have been victorious, telling us, then Arthur fought against them in those days, together with the kings of the British, but he was their leader in battle. The 12th battle is said to take place at Mount Badon, where 960 men fall before a single charge of Arthur's, declaring, and no one laid them low save he alone, and he was victorious in all his campaigns. Fanciful to credit a single charge from one person, accounting for 960 men, but it could be a reference to an attack led by Arthur. Possibly it's a symbolic number. Triads played a big part in Celtic tradition, and 960 is 3 times 100 times 3 plus 3 times 20. 12 for the number of battles fought may be a similarly emblematic number. That phrase, leader in battle, is a translation of the original Latin dux bellorum, meaning a military leader, not a king. Interestingly, in his Gallic Wars, Julius Caesar applied the term to Celtic commanders. No dates are given for the battles, but the names given to them are useful leads to possible locations. 4 battles are said to have taken place on a river called the Dubglas, which is in the county of Nennius. Nennius is usually anglicised as Lindsey, an early Anglo-Saxon kingdom in Lincolnshire, but I think that's questionable. Most of the references suggest southern Scotland, Cumbria and Northumberland as a more likely location for the action. The early medieval kingdom of Reged, centred around the Solway Firth. There is a River Douglas in Lancashire, a tributary of the Ribble, and another in Lanarkshire, a tributary of the Clyde. The first battle is said to have taken place at the mouth of the river called Glane. There's a River Glen in Lincolnshire, but a more likely candidate, I'd suggest, is the River Glen in Northumberland, a tributary of the Till and ultimately the Tweed, an area with several hill forts. The 7th battle, our chronicler says, was the Battle of Cat Coit Celidon. The Caledonian forest leads us again to southern Scotland. Staying in this area, a possible Merlin figure, named in the Annals of Wales as Merfyn, described as a bard, retreats to the forest after the Battle of Arthurian in 573, a large-scale confrontation for which there are several references, thought to have taken place near Carlisle. We are able to corroborate some of what appears in Nennius. Mount Badon is also the scene of a decisive battle described by the 6th century chronicler Gildas, mentioned in part 5 of this series. And in the Annals of Wales, a collection of Latin chronicles thought to date from the mid-10th century, compiled from unknown sources that survive in 13th century copies, a version in the British Library names King Arthur as leading the Britons to victory at the Battle of Badon in the early 6th century, tentatively around AD 516. And 21 years later tells of Arthur's last battle, the Strife of Camlan. That, and a further exploration of post-Roman northern Britain, will be my topics next time. If you've enjoyed this video, hit the like and subscribe buttons and click on the notification bell to be informed when the next video is available, or you can subscribe by clicking on the rose window over my shoulder.